Hello and welcome to round 7 Saturday of the Oceanic Pro League. My name is Michael Hingissing and it is a pleasure to have your company as we count down towards the end of the regular split and the start of the finals gauntlet. The drama of the OPL continues with organisation trouble and trades galore coming into this week. The big news, of course, that seeing Sybil, formerly of the Direwolves, joining AV as their new jungler, but more on that tomorrow and later on because we have a jam-packed show for you today. Two massive games of League of Legends, starting off with Chiefs looking to regroup after a 2-0 loss last week against Legacy. They'll be taking on Sin, who last week signed Ryoma, a former Chiefs sub, and a man who may well know all the secret weaknesses of last year's premiers. But will he spill the V's to his new team? Ryoma playing the role of the mid lane Cold War defector. We then move on to the battle at the bottom of the table, a hotly contested match for scarce ladder points between XL5 and Abyss after this week saw big organisational changes to XL5, who are still looking for their first win of the split. And if they don't pick up a point today, well, Tegan and the boys could well be staring down the barrel of a nudie run come April. All four teams need the points coming into the end of the split, so there's everything to play for. Like a bar and grill in Denver, Colorado, the stakes are high. Mark it up. I think that may well be the worst joke I've ever written, ever. Joining me at the desk, stepping in for Mendrix, who I assume is at home running some AP Nasus builds or something. I don't know, not really. He's away this weekend. But we are very lucky to have stepping in to the role of our in-house OPL analyst, Zach Rusty Pie, formerly of the OPL, gone across to the LPL, but not a stranger to this desk. Thank you for joining us today.
My pleasure. Of course, I'm a little bit tired. The LPL went until 4 a.m. last night. Came in as soon as I could, but excited to be here nonetheless to break down some games.
Yes, thank you for foregoing sleep and health to be here today. We appreciate your sacrifice. We are also joined by AD Carry for Avant-Garde, fresh off their win over TM. It is Miles Blinky Irvine. Thank you so much for being here. And I got to ask you, since you're here, about this Sybil trade coming to AV this week. Give us the inside scoop on the trade. Full respect to Shelby, obviously, you former jungler, but what does Sybil bring to the team in your estimation?
Well, we decided the way to beat Direwolves is to take the best player, so that's a good way to beat them tomorrow.
Don't at me, keyboard warrior. All right, let's take a look at the standings as we go into today's games. Legacy out in front on 15 points after last week's 2-0 victory. The Chiefs and Direwolves then in hot contention. Avant-Garde and Sin rounding out the finals gauntlet. Then we have Tainted Minds on 7 and Abyss and XL5 rounding out that relegation promos tournament. But we'll get a good look at the new AV lineup tomorrow. But right now, let us get into our first match, which is Chiefs versus Sin. And Blinky, I actually was hanging out with you last week when we watched Chiefs lose against Legacy. So did you see any weaknesses in their gameplay last week that you think Sin could kind of capitalize on?
I definitely think Chiefs bot lane were underperforming last week versus Legacy, and I think the same thing's going to happen this week. So I think Sin's biggest strength against Chiefs is their bot lane. And if they can pressure them early, they should take the game.
All right. Well, Rusty, do you agree? Do you think Sin can replicate Legacy's success last week?
I think it's a hard thing to replicate when you look at how good Legacy's bottom lane actually is. And the reason that I do agree with Blinky is because we were mentioning this backstage, how they can actually exploit the bottom lane of Chiefs. If you wanted to elaborate, what does that actually mean? Like, why can the Chiefs bottom lane lose?
So Chiefs bot lane play a defensive style, so they'll never make mistakes, but they'll punish the enemy mistakes. And they lose pressure across the map for this because they're always pushed in. But I believe that Sin's micro can outperform Chiefs' micro bottom and hopefully pressure their advantage.
Yeah. Well, that's hopeful for Sin going up against Chiefs. Well, earlier today I spoke to Chiefs captain and mid laner Swiffer about their upcoming match, and I started by asking if Sin could beat them the way Legacy did last week.
No. So I know I sounded really confident last week and everything when I said that we were gonna, 2-0 Legacy and everything, and then the reverse happened. But I actually think it was really good that we lost. We were able to kind of talk about like a lot of the issues that have been kind of plaguing us this split and everything. And I think, you learn more from your losses than you do from your wins. So I think we've really picked up since then.
All right. Well, speaking of picking up, Sin picked up former Chiefs sub Ryoma and into their mid lane. You've seen a week of his play now. How do you rate him as a competitor now that he's off your roster?
I always I always thought he was a really good player. That's why we picked him up as a sub, obviously. I think that he's got a lot to learn though. This is going to be really funny, if he comes in and shows me up. But I think he's got a lot to learn, and I don't think that he's properly acclimatized to kind of like the stage environment yet. So I think nerves will be a bit of an issue for him. But if they're not, then I think like he only has like a good future ahead of him, right? And even if they are, like regardless, I still think that he has a bright future. So yeah.
All right. Well, after this week, you've still got to play Dire Wolves and Tainted Minds as well. So a 2-0 today is necessary, or how you feeling?
A 2-0 would be really nice. We'd like to kind of mitigate the damage that happened last week as much as we can. We're hoping that like Legacy lose, so that we can reattain our first spot, and then hopefully like not have to play a lot during the gauntlet and everything. But yeah, 2-0 would be really nice.
All right. Well, best of luck today, and thank you for speaking to us.
Cheers. Thank you.
There we have mid laner Swiffer talking about his hopes that Legacy can lose. Is that the Chiefs' best hopes for taking out that #1 spot heading into finals? Let's take a look at the guys and their lineup. Their top laner is Swiper. Their jungler is Spooks. Their captain and mid laner Swiffer, who we just spoke to then. Their AD carry is Raze and Ejim, their support player, looking distraught on camera. And Rusty, I want to get your thoughts as well after last week. You've obviously seen the game. The game's Chiefs versus Legacy going into today, though. Do you agree with Blinky that the bot lane is where it's going to be won and lost?
I mean, the bot lane's definitely a place where Sin can win on Summoner's Rift. I feel like the biggest thing that we have to consider, though, when you look at the Chiefs is they lost a game. This happens pretty much every split that they play in towards the middle of the split. And then because, as Swiffer even said in the interview, they'll come back stronger. They'll probably end up getting stronger victories as a result of that one defeat. I feel like, yeah, Chiefs can lose through the bottom lane, but will they after a defeat, or will they actually just come in and slaughter?
Yeah, potentially this is even their final form. They have a lot of improving to do, as they have admitted themselves. Well, across the Rift, their opponents are Sin this week, and earlier today, I spoke to their captain, Juves, about the upcoming match, and I started by asking him what a win today would mean for the team.
A win would be great, because it's good for the confidence, and it would probably secure us-ish a gauntlet spot. I don't think it will make us just an instantly top 2 team, but I think that it will give us a good direction to work towards.
All right. Well, it's no secret that you've brought in Ryoma to open up your playstyle a bit and unlock flares specifically. How's it going so far after that first week? And has he given you any inside goss on the Chiefs?
A Chief sub comes with some Chief information. Maybe we only recruited him for this match. Maybe we were just like, how can we beat Chiefs? Let's get the sub. Nah. He's been good. He's like I said, he's really aggressive. He's the type of player where like if you're 4-5k down mid game, he can make a big flashy play and like get us back into the game. And I feel like that's kind of what we needed. If the game was a bit of a stalemate, we just needed someone to kind of just pop off. And like I feel that's what Roma offers. So yeah, it's been good. We obviously learning things along the way. It's not everything's been smooth sailing, but yeah, we're moving forward.
Well, you said before you want 3 pushing lanes moving forward. Do you see any potential weaknesses in the Chiefs' game after their loss last week? And can you guys replicate what Legacy did?
I think that when Legacy won, they kind of exposed top lane. Not in the sense that Swiper's a bad player, but they kind of leave him on an island. And first game, they like priority picked top lane for Legacy for Tally. And they really he just ran home with the game. So I think if one of their weaknesses is they kind of leave their top side of the map open to dry. So I think that's where we might be looking to expose.
All right, well, let's see if that happens. Thank you for speaking to us, and best of luck at the match.
Thanks.
There we have Juve saying it may be top lane where they are looking to exploit today. Well, let's take a look at the guys as they're getting ready in our studio. And speaking of top lane, Sin's top laner is Flares, the NA import. Their jungler, who we just spoke to, is Juves. Their mid laner, Ryoma, the Chiefs sub with Chiefs information. FBI is their AD carry, and Rogue is their support player. Again, looking distraught. A lot of distraught supports today. And Rusty, I mean, when Juves talks about Flares, top lane, in particular Flares, do you think Flares will be left alone in that island, like you're saying, or do you think that's how they exploit Chiefs?
So I think Sin want to leave Flares alone. That's how they want to play the map, right? 1 top lane, 4 on the rest of the map, pressure 2 places at once. But I was just like, even while he was saying this, I'm thinking about the easiest way for Sin to lose to the Chiefs, or the best way for Chiefs to beat Sin is by pushing top lane and mid lane, and having Spooks as a pivot point between both of those lanes to actually prevent all of this. If Juves can't get there, they can't snowball top lane. Swiper won't 1v1 lose, you would expect. And so like that's a decent strategy, and it's a decent observation from this series, but I feel like that's a Tally thing. that I don't know if Sin can replicate.
Blinky, do you agree?
I think that Sin's playstyle is micro carry from the top lane, and I think Swiper's had such a long career of stopping carry top laners that he's just going to shut flares down, so he can't do anything about it.
Yeah,
All right. Well, we'll see if Juve's analysis is superior to yours. We'll see where this game is won and lost on the map. Well, let's take a look at Chiefs' run home, because obviously a win today would see them in better contention for that top of the table spot. They've still got to beat XL5, Direwolves, and Tainted Minds. And there's a very difficult match in there, Rusty.
Yeah, 2 easy games and an XL5 match for the Chiefs on the way home, so they've got an interesting run. I feel like if they can win today, they should actually be able to continue momentum and get all of the victories for the rest of the split, but we'll see how they go in this week.
I mean, Blinky, obviously they're going to XL5 as favourites. Direwolves, they've beaten them 2-1. And Tainted Minds, it's a real flip of the coin, because who knows who's going to show up, right? For Tainted Minds and the Chiefs.
I definitely think Tainted Minds are a wild horse team. Like, they have nothing to lose anymore. Like, they either lose to Chiefs with game style, or they just crush them and go all out early and throw whatever they can.
Well, across the let's take a look at Sin's run home towards playoffs as well. As you bring that up, they've still got to beat Legacy, Abyss, and a little team called Avant-Garde. And I mean, you would not want this run home if you were Sin, Blinky.
No, you definitely wouldn't. So they have to versus the first best team at the moment,
And Legacy as well, right?
and Legacy in there as well. So I think their run home is going to be quite hard if they want a top finish, but they can still make Gauntlet, but it'll be like the bottom series of the Gauntlet.
Yeah, and if they can make that Gauntlet, even if they get into that 5th place, they've got to play through 4th, 3rd, 2nd to get to that grand final. So like Juves is saying, they may not be that top 2 definitely into the grand final, but they would be, I think, happy with just making Gauntlet. That seems to be their goal right now. Well, speaking of Sin, they're going up today against one of the top teams, and we took a look at their record versus some of the top teams. And it's a bit of a shaky record, but Rusty, we look at this, when Sin win against the top teams, how do they do it?
Yeah, so the interesting thing to take away from this particular grouping of stats is that when Sin play against a top 4 team and get a victory, they win fast. There is a lot of kills, they move the opposite team around the map. The average game time in a victory is about 38 odd minutes. This is 28 against top 4 teams from Sin. That speaks a lot towards the pace that they play League of Legends.
Yeah, but Blinky, it also means that if they don't win early, they really struggle to close out games.
Yeah, so for Sin to win, they have to focus early on the top lane and bottom pressure, and then just sit mid like they normally do, their ARAM style. And so they have to take their advantage and push it as fast as they can. If it gets past 29 minutes versus the Chiefs, they're going to have a rough time, because Chiefs macro just...
Chiefs macro, baby.
And we mentioned this before, right? It's just purely logical. If they get ahead and they decide to ARAM, it's always going to be more effective. We joked about the Malphite compositions that everybody ran last year, but if you're behind and decide to 5-end mid, it's just not going to work in the same way.
And we also see in that stat a lot of kills coming out of Sin. So if they're going to win, they're going to win early, and it's going to be bloody. So we can expect today, if they can be successful, it's going to be through a lot of kills and some very aggressive gameplay. Well, let us now take a look at this social media competition which we are running this week. And if you want to get involved, you need to let us know which... You can comment or like with your answer to Facebook. I think this is also going to be on Twitter. But we want to know which elemental dragon will be slain the most during this week of OPL, and how many times. We need a name and a number. I mean, let me get your thoughts, Blinky, because what do you reckon is the best Drake for AV's playstyle right now?
For AV, would definitely be Mountain, because we can take objectives. But I guess since it's Chiefs and Sin, Chiefs don't want Mountain Dragons, because they had 3 last week versus Legacy and still couldn't get Baron. So I don't think it's going to be the best for Chiefs.
All right, well, I want to get your guys' predictions, but first, let's take a look at the tips for this week, opltips.com.au. You can let us know who you think is going to win. And it is a real landslide for the Chiefs today. I think it is almost 90% versus 11% for Sin there. And we're looking at most people thinking that it's going to be a 2-0 for the Chiefs. Hashtag I am OPL if you want to let us know your thoughts. But Rusty, let me start with you. Is this going to be Chiefs 2-0?
I feel like it's going to be a 2-0 one way or the other. I believe Sin, if they have some strategies cooked up, they might get the free win and then perhaps just get a cheeky second one. But I have Chiefs as a 2-0. I think they'll come back stronger from their defeat.
All right, well, Blinky, do you think Sin can take a game, or do you think Sin can take the series?
I personally think it'll be a 2-1 to Chiefs, but Sin have nothing to lose versus the Chiefs. They're guaranteed playoffs almost. So what they should do is go all out first game, try and break the Chiefs' mental and then bring it home strong. But I
Do you
think
think-
Chiefs will win the next two regardless.
Could we see some cheese then from Sin in that first game?
I would hope they pick super aggressive lanes and just out-micro the bot lane of Chiefs. But we'll see.
All right. Well, I think my tips were 2-0 to Chiefs as well. You can check them out on opltips.com.au. But it's time to get into game one, Chiefs versus Sin. So we'll see you on the other side. Let's hand it over to our casters, Spawn and Fish.
Thank you very much, Hingers. And you heard it right there from the desk. The best way to beat the Chiefs is to make sure their mental goes boom. But I'm Matthew Fish Stewart, and joining me is Jake Spawn Tabiri. We're about to get into game number one between the Chiefs going up against Sin Gaming.
Yeah, and this should be a good one because whenever we look at this, I think that the Chiefs are one of those teams that if they drop games, they do get a little bit fired up. I think it's fair to say they want to come back stronger than they were before. So I'm looking forward to seeing how aggressive they can go against Sin today and whether... Either way, this is a quick game because I expect Chiefs to want to make a statement, but we know Sin is at their best when they're playing fast.
They certainly are. And Sin, they've already been able to cook up the perfect storm once. That was when they were up against Legacy, picking up a 2-1 victory there. And that's back when they had Wizard in the mid lane. Now they've picked up Ryoma. They're pretty outspoken that they're very happy with the trade, picking up in the mid lane, and very comfortable with him playing for Sin right now.
Yeah, and honestly, why wouldn't you be? Because Wizard is a big 1-3-1 player. We've seen that even extend over to Tainted Minds, whereas Ryoma is a control mage player. 1-4 can be super aggressive,
Yep.
lanes very aggressively, gives them that 3 pushing lanes that they're looking for, and can open up big advantages through the mid lane.
And on top of that, Sin, like you mentioned, like to play that 1-4. They want flares to be split pushing. They're very confident of the import up in the top lane. But he is up against Swiper today. He is a brick. And time again, newcomers into the OPL have gone up against Swiper with high hopes of being able to take him down and just run into a brick wall, and they can't quite stop.
Yeah, and you know, Swiper's one of those players that he's a big game player. He likes the challenge of it, likes to be able to step up, and you can see already through the bans that they expect it to be able to, they expect Flares to take it to Swiper today.
Yep.
So the Chiefs, in typical Chiefs fashion, the way they defend him is not on Summoner's Rift, it's just through that pick ban phase.
Yeah, it seems like it because the Chiefs' bans to kick off game number one are going to be Elise, Camille, and Jax. A pick I don't think we've seen picked or banned so far. And then for Sin side of the map, we have Varus, Jhin, and LeBlanc being banned out. Very standard bans. We are still on patch 7.4, so no nerfs have come in for these 3 champions.
Yeah, and it shows already that they want to get a little bit more of an unorthodox AD carry out of the Chiefs. However, I think it is risky because Raze is one of the better Caitlyn's, one of the better Ezreals. I mean, when he was known as Zeratul back in the OCS, that's pretty much all he played, Fish. And I think that even though it doesn't give the Chiefs utility, they're happy to run that in the jungle. They're happy to run that in the top lane. This is a game where Raze can really pop off.
On top of that, a lot of teams are very outspoken about how they prefer picks like Ashe over the Jhin right now. That's still left up and available. And we have seen Raze pick it up in their last few games. So we'll have to see if he's going to default to that. Meanwhile, Sin, they've locked in Karma, the man on your screen there. Ejin will be very happy that he's not going to be able to play that champion here today, as Rengar will get locked in for Juves.
Yeah, and Juves, you know, looking to be aggressive. He always likes to be able to take it to Spooks. There is a little bit of banter between the two junglers. Juves confident going into today's game, I think it's fair to say, but I've never seen a non-confident Juves in my life, I don't think. So this is going to be one of those interesting ones because Rengar is great when you're ahead, and this suits the playstyle so well for Sin. He can start up the fights, he hovers between the lanes well. Looking to see how they use this because in Direwolf's victory last week, Schönfire's Rengar play was absolutely spot on for how you play a 1-4.
It certainly was. We have seen a couple of Rengars fall flat on their face internationally in competitive play, and we'll have to see if Juve's going to be able to put up a great performance like we saw from Schönfire from the Direwolves. Meanwhile, Chiefs, they've locked in their support as well as their jungler in their final 2 picks of the first pick phase. Malzahar will be picked up by Egypt in this match. We'll have Spooks playing Graves heading into the jungle.
And this is an important pick for Sin because it's going to show me whether they put more priority on FBI or flares. Because what you can do right now is take an aggressive top laner, then start banning away tanks if you are Sin and try and force a skill matchup, or you just take an AD carry and then you go through another round.
Yeah, Sin have got a big old press on, run of people team comp, and Sivir gets locked in as their AD carry of choice, which is a little bit surprising to me because picks like Shen still left up and available.
Yeah, exactly right. So we'll see whether Shen does come out. Looks like they need a little bit of engagement actually out of the Chiefs lineup. So I would expect more of a Nautilus or a Maokai pick coming from Swiper. You have to expect that they also look for utility out of AD carry. So I don't think they're all that phased by the Ezreal ban. I think it's going to be an Ashe.
There's still a possibility that we'll see Swiper pick up the Jace in the top lane. Was very common during the start of competitive play in 2017, but then moved more towards the mid lane after it was picked up there internationally from time to time. Sin have been targeting out the 80 carry pool from the Chiefs here. Ezreal and Caitlyn being banned out by Sin. That leaves Ashe up in the table, which is normally the go-to champion when Varus and Jhin are taken away.
Yeah, exactly right. So now it's pretty much a given, I think, unless really Raze has been listening to me before the show and is just going to lock in that Tristana that I've been talking about all weekend long. Not expecting it, but this just forces Chiefs onto a pick. Sin have pretty much forced the pick, so they know exactly what's going to be coming.
So we'll have to see if Sin have some strategy behind what they're trying to pick up here, as FBI is hovering over that champion spawn. He knows you want to see it played here today, but they do lock in Victor instead. On the side of the Chiefs, so they did ban away Syndra and Echo, so trying to target out Ryoma's champion pool, and instantly locked in is Ashe for the Chiefs.
Yeah, but you saw Swiffer actually explicit a little bit there because he's against Victor again. And last week, Claire played this champion to a very high level. I think that, you know, the quadra kill in the bottom lane, the ability to be able to team fight around Baron incredibly effectively. We'll see if Ryoma can show the same proficiency on the champion, because it's something that gave Chiefs some problems.
And with the initiation in the bottom lane for the Chiefs, they've gone with Rumble heading up into the top lane for Swiper, Jace mid lane for Swiffer. So a lot of damage coming out from the Chiefs lineup.
This is actually a comp where Rumble is good initiation, because around choke points, the only way they get out is running. You have a Victor with no dashes, Karma with no dashes, Sivir with no dashes. So if the equalizer is perfect, then you do have to run across it, as Sin's comp right now. So it is some flavor of initiation. However, into Renekton, the last pick for Sin, that's a difficult matchup, and one that Swiper actually made his name for on quite often.
He certainly did. Historically, whenever Renekton's in the meta, so is Rumble. And it's not a great matchup for the Yordle in the top lane. The Crocodile just loves to get nice and fed up there. And Flares is picking up the champion as well. He's very comfortable on these carry champions.
However, I think with Tabby's being so strong right now, you can kind of like... I'm just like running the math through my head. Penetration is very important on Rumble, don't get me wrong.
Yep.
But there is a lot of damage on the Chiefs lineup. So you can go something like, you know, start with a shield, go into Tabby's, get your arm guard. That's a lot of armor that Renekton's not really going to be able to compete with early. But before a shop, Renekton is absolutely oppressive, so it's whether Swiper can get, you know, that Rumble to that series of the game, or whether Renekton's just going to run over the top of him.
Especially since Renektons like to pick up a nice and early Tiamat, which is only about 1,300 gold. So if you get that nice and early before the Ninja Tabbies are complete, it's going to be a little bit difficult for Rumble up in the top lane.
Yeah, I'm kind of in a mixed mind about that. I actually prefer to just rush Cleaver on Renekton at the moment. With Fervor of Battle and the ability to stack it so much with an empowered W, Cleaver really just synergizes so well with the kit. And it's all about getting that Fervor up there, forcing the one-on-one, and being able to use that Q at full stacks of Fervor. So, you know, we'll see what Flares wants to go with. You can definitely go both builds still, but I just think Black Cleaver fits so well into the kit.
Which is very common from a lot of top laners at the moment that like to go for that pseudo-tankiness, get a lot of health, and then pick up pure resistance items. Afterwards, we've seen it from Kled quite a bit, which hasn't seen too much play in the OPL. But we'll have to see what Flares decides to pick up against Swiper here today, if Swiper decides to match him. For now, though, we are back onto Summoner's Rift for the first match between Chiefs going up against Sin Gaming. But let's first check in with Chiefs coach Vault, who's standing by with Hingers.
Thanks, guys. I'm here with Vault, coach of the Chiefs. I want to start by asking you, first of all, about the lovely outfit you're wearing today. Very smart. The Camille ban today, is that a response to Legacy's play last week, or is it specific to Sin?
It's more about how useful it is as a blind pick for as a counter pick for Red Side, because they have like the 2 last picks. So it's really hard for us to pick like some of our top lane champions if Camilla's up, because they just like get to counter pick with it, or they can take it and then ban out the counters to it.
All right. Well, given the draft that Sin have had, usually I'll ask you about your win conditions, but what do you think are Sin's win conditions today, given their team fighting comp?
I think even though they have a team fighting comp, their solo laners are like the best part of their team. Like Flares and Tommy, Ryoma, are like really good players in their own right, and they'll probably look to play around them with Juves, just like ganking their lanes a lot and snowballing.
All right, well, we'll see if that comes to pass. Thank you so much for speaking to us. Best of luck in the game.
Thank you very much.
There you go. Vault, as always, has high respect towards his opponents there, speaking high praises of Flares, Ryoma, and even Juves in that match. We'll have to see if that win condition for Sin is going to come true here against the Chiefs, but the Chiefs themselves have quite a bit of damage in every single position heading into this game.
Yeah, and I wonder if this is actually going to be a full-blown invader, whether they're just going for a ward. Looks like a ward over the back of the pit just to get recognition of where the jungle is starting. Of course, with Swiffer showing so early in the lane and Swiper showing, they don't really have a clear idea on Spooks, although that generally means a Raptor start at this stage of the game for the Graves. So interesting from both squads. Of course, you get a lot more experience from doing Raptors first before anyone has any experience on the map. So Spooks slightly ahead in that regard, but now it comes down to pace, because can Spooks without Elise actually go toe-to-toe with the speed of this Rengar?
You've seen them both clearing their camps at about the same time for now. Red buff to Raptors from Juice, whereas we have Raptors to red buff coming out from Spooks. So both moving towards opposite sides of the map at the moment. We do check in with the bottom lane, Ashe and Malzahar. A lot of lockdown once these two hit level 6 against the Karma and Silver, who provide a lot of utility for their team.
And it's funny, right? Because Ashe is kind of seen as a pseudo counter to Sivir, outranges, has very good wave clear through the volley, as well as the ability to force out spell shields pretty frequently. So I think that this is a lane that the Chiefs would be comfortable in. However, as always with Sivir lanes, if you get out of control early, you're a monster. Sivir does so much mid-game damage before people pick up armor, and the Chiefs are not going to have all that much of it.
This is a very early gank coming out from Spooks, though. He's level 3 against a level 2 Renekton. Flares is going to get locked down, tries to get his way out of there, but First Blood is picked up by Spooks.
And actually, you can see that Spooks predicts the dash out of the Renekton, helps shove in this turret because he understands that Swiper needs to be able to go back and get some full health. And that's just a good, well-coordinated gank out of the Chiefs, jungler and top laner. It's something that we don't see all that often, but they do come together nicely.
Now Spooks is going to try and take away Krug Camp here, but Juves has spotted him out. They're going to try and collapse on towards the grave. Juves has jumped in, flash over the wall. Both of them flash at the exact same time, and they take down Spooks for a return kill. Double buff onto Flares.
Yeah, you can see Spooks kind of scratches his head. He didn't expect Flares to want to give up those melee creeps to the turret, but for double buff, why not? Great call out of Juves and Flares. They burn all the summoner spells, but they get it done.
On top of that, Flares, he burnt his teleport to get back into the top lane. Swiper now, he's not going to be able to farm these creeps quite effectively with that double buff picked up by the Renekton. He might have to burn his teleport nice and early to get back up here with a couple of items.
Yeah, especially because Spooks was the person that picked up the first blood. So it's not like Swiper is even equalized in gold. He is going to be significantly far behind. Double buff generally means you want to get a quick shop in, but with the wave pushing in and Renekton's early wave clear, you can't really gamble on that either. So, you know, not many options for Swiper, but to sit at range and farm with Harpoons.
And this is going back to exactly what Volt was talking about earlier. The way Sin wanted to play against the Chiefs would be towards their solo laners, and he expected Juves to be in the back pockets of both Flares and Ryoma there. About to say Rymeister. No longer the mid laner for Sin. And exactly that happened. Spooks got a nice and early gank, but Juves was right there to get the counter.
Yeah, exactly right. And we'll see what this means for the rest of the map, because you can see Flares immediately pops his head into the jungle, looks for that deep vision fish that we talk about so much against the Chiefs, controlling Spooks' pathing, making sure that you always have tabs on that dynamic jungler. And this sets Sin up for a lot of success, especially if they're going to be able to get any form of turret dive down here.
Yep.
Don't know how far Flares is towards that level 6, but Juves is still up in this top side of the map.
Probably just going to blast Cone out of there. Spooks is close by in case anything goes south for his top lane. And one thing I do want to touch on is Chiefs have brought double teleport coming into this game. Both Swiper and Swiper use it there to get back into their lanes. But we haven't seen double teleport for some time now.
Yeah, we certainly haven't, and when we do see it, it's generally on an assassin. Something like an Echo, something like a Katarina that we expect to do well. Now Flares actually doesn't have double buff and took too much damage in that last trade. There's no reason to take that much damage, especially when you don't have potions. Should have just been playing for the CS. Swiper's going to be able to shove into him now and cost him maybe a little bit more mana and HP and experience.
As meanwhile, Juves has found Spooks, misses the boulder strike, but still hunting down the graves. That's a lot of damage on towards him. Ryoma catching up. Spooks has been taken down again, scratching his head after that one. Swiffer tries to flash on forward, but the damage is not enough to execute Juves.
He lived on 14 health with a potion running. That just proves at the end of the fight, always run your pot, especially if it's refillable. Costs you nothing and could save your life, Fish. That was an exhaust used by Ryoma. That's why Swiffer felt like he could flash for the kill. Obviously not coming through. And now FBI and Rogue are putting the damage into Raze and Aegium so early in this game.
This is really aggressive from FBI and Rogue. They've been controlling this lane so well, but we're checking back in the top lane. Both ultimates have been burnt, and Flares is hunting down Swiper, getting quite a bit of damage down there. Swiper tries to turn around with the Flaming Spitter. They both decide it's not worth going in for an all-out brawl.
Yeah, it certainly isn't. However, lane priority here given over to Swiper. We'll see whether the Rengar can get back into the lane to impact it. course, with creeps there, Flares has a very long dash, but looks like everything just going to return to normal in the top lane. Nice job from Swiper to be able to hard reset across the map. However, Chiefs in big trouble. They're down 200 gold, and their jungler has certainly been set behind.
Spooks is not having a great match so far, and he's the one that picked up the kill earlier from that top lane brawl. Meanwhile, it was Flares that picked up the kill against Swiper. We'll have to see if that's going to impact the top lane in any way.
We've got a tier coming out of our Jace. So Swiffer, obviously expecting really prolonged fights, doesn't think it really costs him all that. Of course, the ramp time of Victor is something that we talk about a lot since upgrades went to 1250 over the standard 1000. So this is interesting, an adaptation. I haven't seen a tier on Jason since Worlds, I don't think.
Quite a long time.
Yeah, but something to make sure that we keep an eye on because the Siege does become more powerful out of the Chiefs.
And that's something we don't quite look at lots from pro players. Their back time is what they pick up, and when they pick it up. We see quite a lot of Rise where they try to get back as soon as possible for their tier. Varus occasionally we look for a delayed tier or maybe rush it if he's into an easier lane. But we can see the first few backs coming in from both these teams. Raze has gone for the BF Soul. We see FBI doing the exact same thing. In fact, he's getting pushed in slightly here by Raze and Ejim, but very comfortable with a nice 10 to 15 CS lead at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, it is going to be a little bit lessened by the fact that Ejim and Raze have a huge creep wave there. It was just chasing the side of Sin. However, this is one of those things that you have to... Oh, no, just starting it up there. That was optimistic.
Yep, Juve says thanks. I'll take the leash.
Good leash.
He's going to be able to give the blue buff over towards Ryoma. Hopefully. Thought that might have taken it away. Does end up getting it, heading back into the mid lane.
This is potentially a good dragon timing for Sin. They know that blue buff has spawned. They just saw Swiffer move up towards the top side of the map. However, they don't decide to go for it. Instead, it is going to be Ejim walking up and warding off that side of the map. When you think about Sin's win conditions this game, Spook's got it.
If you thought the Chiefs jungler was having a difficult start, it's just made it even worse for his team now.
I mean, technically that wasn't his fault. What happened is he walked into Fog of War, and then Swiffer's auto attack didn't go through. So a little bit unlucky, as we like to say in the OPL. However, Swiper, told you, arm guard, doing work at this stage of the game, and because Flares didn't respect it, didn't go for a Hex Drinker first, Rumble still does a lot of damage, Fish.
He does. Flares is going to be able to equalize this lane once he picks up that Black Cleaver, because like you mentioned, he's starting to rush that first instead of going for the Tiamat.
And I guess that's what it is. It's a mindset between, do I need to survive this lane or do I need to kill this lane? Do I need to crush it? And as soon as he gets that Black Cleaver, he is going to be able to run over the top of the armor. As Spook's actually being caught out again here. They've done a great job of keeping tabs on him. No, he's not top side of the map because of all the control wards they have up there. In fact, Juve's continuing to keep him out of the bottom side of the map now. This is an interesting one, although double buff Spooks against Juves means he should be able to win it.
Marino on bottom lane, they've locked down FBI, he's forced to flash
Teleport's
away.
Coming in.
Both of them teleporting to the bottom lane. Juves is on the hunt as he comes down as well. Jumps on top of Raze, that's a lot of damage. Flares comes in, spins round and round, gets the first kill. Equalizer's been dropped down to try and return some damage. Spooks has gone in really aggressive, and the Chiefs are getting collapsed on. Ryoma does get silenced, but will get a kill onto Spooks with the base being dropped.
And you can just see that the communication is not there out of the Chiefs. The teleport came in behind. They continue to overextend forward. In my opinion, Equalizer on the wrong targets as well. That could have zoned FBI and Rogue out of the fight completely, but instead it goes onto the front line. And then Spooks, out of nowhere, tries to just dash through the entire enemy team. This is not what we're used to seeing out of the Chiefs. At the same time, you've got to take your hats off to Sin, although this might be a little bit of a mistake overextending.
Swiffer is hiding here. Let's see if he can pick up the kill on towards Rogue. Gets it. Now he's going for FBI. Does put up the spell shield, but it's not going to be used here. As Swiffer knocks him back. He's trying to use the minions to block Swiffer out, but he's going to be able to pick up a double kill. Nice play from Chiefs mid lane.
And that is huge for the Chiefs because all of a sudden they have one winning lane. It is going to be Swiffer. See if he sticks around here. But this is actually, like, even the layering of CC isn't there. They fire a point-blank range Ash Arrow into someone that is already suppressed. That's not going to get it done if you are Ejim and Raze. And, you know, whilst you can look at the Equalizer and say it forced a fight, if they wanted to continue to go forward, as obviously Spooks did, then you have to drop that one on the back line. Once again, Juves, off the back end of a potion, lives on no health.
On top of that, I want to give a lot of credit towards Ejim in that fight. Got a crucial silence off onto Ryoma. Right as he joined the team fight, couldn't use his ultimate to get all the AoE damage down on towards the Chiefs. Might have been even more kills for Sin there. And
3 members heading top, Fish. We've got Victor coming through a control warded area, and you've got Juve sitting in the brush. Looks like this will just be an equalizer drop to save the turret.
Yep, seems like Sin are going to try and push for it, but like you mentioned, Cypher's just going to stop that from going down. Juice, you might want to run away there.
Teleport in bottom lane.
Big teleport. Swiffer going into the back lines very deep here. Gets the knockback on towards Rogue. He's taking a lot of damage though. Has to be very careful. Still, it's going to be a single pick being picked up by the Chiefs.
Yeah, and it's worth because all of a sudden they have priority on that turret. This is something that we talk about a lot, but you have to respect the second teleport. We'll just see whether Spooks comes into mid lane and fires an ultimate at the wave, because that's generally how you stop this. Although now that they've rotated Swiper over.
Collapsing on towards him, but
Whoa.
Spooks! He's going to get obliterated here by Ryoma. The last tick is not going to go through, but he still almost takes down the jungler coming
Juves
for the
is on the
Chiefs.
hunt.
Let's see if he goes for it. Jumps deep into the backlines, gets the kill, heals back up to full. Swiper is overheating. He can't fight back. Suddenly Egypt's trying to collapse, but Juves is still going in. Will pay for his life, but they do get first brick for it.
No, they don't.
Oh,
Bottom
they
lane
get
got first brick. So across the board, bad news for Sin. They overextend. They will be able to pick up this turret, so eventually they will get back ahead. But they were crushing this game. They didn't need to go so deep on that turret dive from Juves. He was able to pick up one kill, but now that's got Swiper back into the game. I mean, if without a kill, solo kill going over onto Flares, first, one of the turrets going over onto Flares as well, would have put him in such a good position. But now the Rumble's actually hit his stride.
Roma very confident though coming into this match, not afraid to blow up anyone that tries to walk straight past him. Meanwhile, the Chiefs have decided to throw Swiffer up into the top lane. He'll be up against Flares for now, unless he decides to trade as well. Top lane turret is a couple of auto attacks away from being taken down. The Sin do have some gold in their back pocket once it falls. But everything is dead even between Sin and the Chiefs at the moment.
Yeah, it certainly is. Apart from maybe the fact that Sin have better priority on turrets. I mean, mid lane's gone down, bottom can be rotated on at any stage, really. And then top lane turret, as you said, strong sneeze, that's going to get rid of that one. As Juves once again goes aggressive, and Spooks is having a horrible game.
He certainly is not having any fun times on the Rift at the moment. He's 1-4, 62 CS. He's still slightly out farming Juves, but not by too much. You see Ninja Tab has been picked up by both Spooks as well as Swiper. So listening to your advice here, Spawn.
I mean, it's one of those things that part of the damage that comes out of Renekton is the fact that the empowered W just hits so many times, and Ninja Tabby greatly reduces that. I mean, I think it was Freak's analysis, chat presented on this or that, where for an 80 carry at the moment, it's about 20% less damage from abilities from lethality build, and then about 30% from auto attacks. And that extends up into the top lane with Renekton. So, of course, the percentage pen of the cleaver that will come out is going to help. But right now, it's a great build.
Oh, the hunt's been popped here. Sin are trying to chase down Raze. That's a lot of damage. They've got a flank from Flares as well. Good equalizer stops the advances, and they're trying to burst down the Renekton. They get it nice and quick. Ryoma's trying to follow through. Does not connect with his ultimate, but Sin still on the hunt. The Chiefs are trying to run. Juves almost gets taken down again. Lives with less than 50 health.
But it's a 1-for-1, and Swiffer is pushing top lane, so that is, once again, a tiny win for the Chiefs. And it just keeps stacking up. Now, all of a sudden, it's 2,000 gold. And while Sin are playing that quick tempo game, you can see that a team as composed as the Chiefs can trade back even against uneven numbers and make sure they're punishing the map.
And big play to swipe it there. Used the equalizer nicely. Didn't get the damage he wanted, but was able to stop Sin from advancing, collapsing with Renekton.
And that's why I questioned the equalizer on the front line last team fight, because what equalizer is best at is making sure that the tanks are overextending and the carries cannot follow them. And you saw that's exactly what that did in a choke point. All of a sudden, because there is no like Lucian dash or Tristana jump, you have to walk over the length of the equalizer, which is just unacceptable damage at this stage of the game.
Certainly is. You can see Swiper now picking up the Haunting Guys, as well as the final component towards his Zhonya's Hourglass. Wants to pick that one nice and early due to all the damage that's going to be able to come out from Sin. So move towards the mid game here. Currently, Chiefs are sitting at about 1,500 gold ahead of Sin. That can be equalized if they do take down the top lane outer, but Chiefs are doing a very good job of holding on to that.
I mean, some of it can be equalized, not all of it. It certainly isn't going to just give them that big injection of gold. And if they keep sending Swiper up here, I mean, it's just a matter of being able to defend your turret. You feel like he's far enough along right now that he's not going to be dove because the equalizer's there as long as he backs away. And you can see that they're just willing to trade an objective for an objective at this stage of the game.
Yep.
Spooks, Raze still look like they're having a slightly off game. I mean, Raze's flash wasn't great in the last team fight. Probably just should have flashed into the Raptor pit. But you could see that he was trying to get the line up for the equalizer there. Definitely kiting back towards his team. And see whether Chiefs can get the rest of their team on board now.
So you see the Chiefs trying to pick up incremental advantages here. Ocean Dragon was picked up there, trading it for the top lane turret, which theoretically was almost dead anyway. That was going to be taken down in a matter of a couple of pushes. As Sin looking for another collapse here, but they've found FBI. He's going to get obliterated before this fight even starts. Juice trying to jump in, looking for Raze first. He'll get taken down. Swiffer joins the fight, takes down the jungler, and now Sin are running for the hills because Swiper's teleported in. Big Equalizer will come out just to slow down flares, and they're still hunting for the Crocodile. He's forced to flash away.
Yeah, that is actually a great equalizer again. Ryoma looking for re-engage.
He flashed forward, looking for Egypt. He gets out of the ultimate coming out from the Victor, but will be able to take down Swiper. Sin still equalized 2 for 2.
Yeah, really nice fight out of Ryoma. He actually went in 1v4 because he just recognized that there's no way that they can turn that one around. Able to get the equalized kill onto Swiper. AD Carry is really having a bad performance on Summoner's Rift today, and Sin aren't done.
Sin are now looking for the mid lane inner turret. Swiffer is off to the side, trying to take down the minions with his long-range poke, but Sin should be able to take down this turret. That will give them an equalize of gold. Sorry, that will equalize the gold for Sin at the moment. 8 to 8 in kills, 3 turrets to 2, a single dragon to the Chiefs. This game is dead even at the moment.
Yeah, it certainly is, and it's so back and forward because we can see that one team goes aggressive, the next team meets it head on. Certainly no backing down. You really got to feel for the Sivir and the Ashe because there's not much way to live when there's a Graves Rengar running around, as well as damaged top laners in the current meta.
Nope, it just seems like every single team fight, you take away the AD carries to start, and then you go back into the team fight
I'm telling you, man, just pick Tristana. You can get rid of the Rengar and jump away to safety. But, you know, they're providing the ultimate, they're providing that utility and the ability to start up fights. It just looks painful, honestly.
Which pretty much sums up 80 carries in 2017. It's a dank meme, and it's dank for a reason. For now, though, Sin looking to see if they can go for another fight. But first, let's take a look at that replay. There we go. FBI's just dead.
And better CC layering that time, I mean. Just at the end of it, you can see Jubes jumps into 3 people, still gets the 80 carry. And this was a good equalizer because Chiefs wanted the turret. However, what they didn't really consider is the fact that there's going to be a Victor coming from the bottom of the screen. And as you can see, gets the speed up, flashes in, and just absolutely melts the Chiefs lineup. Leaves Swiper for dead, which is the right call there if you're the Chiefs. But Ryoma, and I feel like Victor in general. Oh, shoots.
He's going to get a lockdown. Arrow comes out as well. That's a dead Rengar. Swiffer even flashed forward for that. They get another pick.
Yeah, I mean, Swiffer looks like he's hungry again, going up against someone that, you know, he said is a great player, but maybe not ready for competitive play just yet. And you can see that he feels like it is his responsibility to carry right now.
And he's trying to look for that play now. Ryoma goes toe-to-toe. Ultimate's being used here. Swiffer incredibly low, but that's the exhaust being burnt for that fight. The Chiefs try to turn this one around and look for a turret in the mid lane. As FBI takes a collateral damage to the face, he's forced to back away. Chiefs get this turret.
Yeah, you can see they really want it. Swiffer's... Oh.
Yeah, that's not great. Almost getting taken down. They will eventually take this one. So they push forward with the final push, but it gets equalized. Now there's a flank coming out from the Renekton. A little bit too shallow of a ward, though.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, the Chiefs knew it was coming it as well. Renekton did take bottom lane turret. Flares has accrued a massive CS lead, 30 at only 20 minutes into the game. So that's certainly something to worthwhile talk about. However, this game, nice Edfish. I don't know if my poor little heart could take it because both teams are playing with reckless abandon at the moment.
The only 2 players on the map at the moment that seem like have any form of contempt is going to be the mid laners. Swiffer and Ryoma are both playing pretty solid at the moment.
Yeah, I would say that you can throw Ejim in there as well. He's certainly trying to play a little bit back. Rogue is definitely playing his style, which I always appreciate. Oh no, now Ejim.
Don't do it. He's going to find the Crocodile. Flares, jumps on forward. He doesn't get the spell shield with the slice, which means the stun is not going to connect onto the Malzahar.
Yeah, Ejim thanks to his lucky stars. Well, now Spooks is in big trouble as well. Might need a flash. He doesn't have it, so he might just die.
Oh, they sped up. Ryoma does have a dash to try and get away, looking for the wall. Big arrow comes out, but he doesn't get over it. Spooks will eventually go through. Flares is taking the brunt of the damage, and here comes Jubes. He's on the hunt, looking for Raze. Already in the back lines. The blast code saves the Ashes' poor little life, and they will be able to take down the jungler.
Jubes, you're a madman. He flashes the wall to be able to get onto the Chiefs. And they do manage to turn it back around. The horrible game continues for Spooks, but you feel like that's just a little bit mean, soloing him out. One thing I want to talk about, just an item build. Ryoma's gone for the old school Victor build, and now Ejim, you're in trouble.
They're trying to chase him down. That's a big speed up. Does get the blast cone to safety. Ryoma flashes over, drops the base, and we'll be able to take him down.
These teams are just willing to flash on anything. That's a support and no follow-up. Flash, 2 ultis used for it. Ejim's like, I'm just a support, dude. I was going for a ward. I mean, a kill is a kill. Ryoma absolutely popping off at the moment, but this game has devolved rapidly.
I mean, if you guys want reason to watch the OPL, this is the reason right here. You want action? We've got action. It's just going to non-stop go across the Summoner's Rift at the moment. As now there's more. Teleport's coming in for a mid laner.
Yeah, exactly right. So they feel like this is the revenge kill.
Oh, get him. He's going to go for it. Will he get stunned up, though? He's forced to back away. Doesn't have Shock Blast. Swiffer, what are you doing, buddy? He might get taken down here. It's toe-to-toe on a nice says, but he will be able to get the shutdown.
Yeah, big shutdown for Swiffer. Actually grabs himself a blue buff. That was maybe closer than he wanted it because the exhaust is nearly back available out of Ryoma, and that would have been a bad news story. Oh,
hang on, Spawn, they're not done yet. Raze is the next target. Juice wants him. Flash ball for FBI. Not going to be able to pick up the kill, and Swiper gets him.
FBI's caught.
He's in the pit. He's trying to go for it. Gets Raze with a bounce, but does get locked down and gets collateral damage to the face again. My goodness, they're just throwing each other at each other.
Exactly right. I mean, this is just all-out war. There's very little strategy for it. They just want to have a bloodbath. And, you know, finally it looks like one of the good teams has said, you know what, Sin? If you want to just go for kills, we are more than happy to play towards that because we're over a kill a minute. And this isn't a case of Chiefs, you know, are lagging behind in that category but winning on turrets. They're actually stepping up to the plate and fighting Sin.
And this is the first real play we see out of the Chiefs that gives them a significant advantage. They get the Infernal Dragon, on top of that a turret, and now they're 2,000 gold up ahead of Sin. 23 minutes into the game, it's a small lead to have, not one that's going to swing the game in the Chiefs' favor, but it will definitely dictate the pace of the rest of the map.
Yeah, I certainly agree. Also want to point out the usefulness of Renekton against a team, of Rumble against a team like Sin, because in such a chaotic fight, you need some measure of control. Be that a shockwave, be that an equalizer that can, you know, zone people out. And time again, the equalizers have just been clutched out of Swiper. You know, first team fight running through the choke point, that time isolating FBI in the Dragon Pit. Without that particular pick, you know, if that was just a standard Maokai or something, you feel like this game is a heck of a lot more messy. And maybe Sin are getting advantages in these fights.
Oh, they're going again, Spawn. They're chasing on forward. The arrow doesn't seem like it did all that much to Flares. There's Raze! I feel sorry for this man. It's not his fault. Flares is the next target. He pops to Dominus and will be able to stay alive and Sin get another pick. They're just too fast.
Exactly right. I mean, all it was is just another Sivir comp. Sivir, Karma, they speed up one member. They get him into the front line. Raze, I mean, he fires the arrow, but it's onto a Merc thread, Renekton, so not all that much you can do there to slow him down and able to pick up the kill. Spook's potentially looking for flares here. Does stop the back. It means that Baron's a lot harder now.
There's a wraparound coming out from Sin, though. They're moving towards the top side of the map, not quite spotted out by the Chiefs yet. Instead, they move straight towards the mid lane. They're like, all right, let's push this one up. Realize there's 4 members of Sin on the top side of the map and decide they need to go defend these turrets, Spawn.
Yeah, they certainly do. Arrow is nearly available again, however. So we'll see whether Chiefs actually look for a team fight.
Raze is picking up Third Eye and Guardian Angel. He's sick of
Smart
dying
man.
here.
He's revolutionary in his builds, but that is smart. You can see that actually they burn Flares' teleport again. Arrow's available.
That's a lot of damage. Arrow's going to get stopped by the spell shield, but Ryoma gets locked down by Ejim. Flash has been burnt by Sin to get the heck out of there. They do get the inner turret in the top lane, but Baron is now a huge possibility for the Chiefs.
Yeah, it certainly is. They're sticking around to try and defend. Chiefs have priority in mid as well as bottom lane, and you feel like if they can just hold Sin here, it's a win. Ryoma still 30 seconds. We'll see whether Sin want to respond to this Baron bait.
They're just waiting now. Chiefs have actually started on towards the Baron. Ultimate being popped by Juice just to spot them out. They're not stopping though. Big equalizer coming out just to stop them from advancing.
They need to burn the Baron now because otherwise they're just going to run in and there's no ultimates for the Chiefs.
Major ultimate down, 3,000 health. Juice goes in, looking to try and take them down. Zonya's being popped by Swiper. Baron regenerates health. Sin get what they wanted, and the Chiefs are still going for it. This might be a mistake. Fletch popped the first. Swiffer snipes him in the back lines, and now they're trying to go for a 3-on-5. Flares is being burnt down. FBI is going to be the next target as the hammer gets slapped on towards the Sivir. And now Baron should be picked up here.
All of a sudden, they actually don't have a jungler for this. No one in the... They get it. Whoa, that is such... I've seen Karma steal Barons before, Fish. That was a little bit too close for the Chiefs, you feel.
Unfortunately, it's not going to be the case this time round for Sin, as the Chiefs navigate that team fight with a lot of risk involved, but they still get the kills and they get the Baron as well.
Yeah, all right, cool. So at the end of the day, first real meaningful advantage of the game, you feel. Baron being picked up, you know, that was a huge creep wave bottom that actually has taken out most of the health on bottom lane inhibitor turret. And Sin now have to go back to the drawing board because you can see this chaos style is starting to kind of hurt them.
Yep, slowly collapsing in against itself. 28 minutes into the game, Chiefs do have a 3,000 gold lead. Like the lead they had earlier, it's not going to be that impactful, but it is a nice lead to have. The Baron buff, however, is going to be massive for the Chiefs at the moment. Want to see what they can get out of it.
Especially because they've just given blue buff over onto Swiffer. He has teleport available and long range poke as well as a tier. And I feel like we said, if Sin are going to win this game, it has to be chaos, but it has to be quick.
Yep.
And I think Rusty gave him that 28-minute mark to win within. Otherwise, the Chiefs would be able to wrap this one up. We're past that mark nearly, so maybe a couple more rolls of the dice to Sin, although they do have very good straight line wave clear.
On top of that, we saw from the graphic on the analyst desk, they do win against the top 4 in 28 minutes. As Swiffer goes 2-on-1, gets the first kill, being hunted down by a big crocodile though. He'll be able to back out nice and safely because Spooks is there. This guy's popping off spawn. He's a monster.
He certainly is, and simultaneous pressure onto the bottom lane with that turret that was already prepped from the big creep wave. Swiffer has teleport if he wants to get in here. I feel like Sin need to respect it. They didn't.
Egypt flash forward, goes for Ryoma. He pops the Zhonya's nice and early. Egypt is getting very low, but Sid, blinky health bars everywhere. Swiper will be the one that picks up the kill. He goes on the killing spree. FBI's running to the wrong side of the map, has to flash the shock bus, but now there's a big Graves in his face. Shotgun to the face is going to be enough. And this could potentially be Chiefs breaking the base again against Sin.
Yeah, it certainly looks to be the case. You can see that they want mid lane turret, although there is absolutely no way they're going to get it because there isn't a prep minion wave. So instead, they all go through, potentially look for Dragon, potentially look for top lane outer, but the Chiefs accelerating the pace of this game, if that is even possible. Because what are we up to? 39 kills in 29 minutes now?
Well, Juve's now hunting down Spooks. I think you've seen this story before. Going to get locked down for now. Bola Strike comes out, doesn't get over the wall, trying to fight through this, but will get taken down.
Yeah, but meanwhile, they do lose mid lane. Turret, Spooks just scratches his head and says, is it really worth it, boys? I mean, I respect the fact that Sin are sticking to their guns, but at a certain point, you do have to recognize you don't win kills through games. Unlike what Bradley T-Gun Seymour says to us, you do have to kill the Nexus still.
You certainly do. That's how you pick up victories on Summoner's Rift. In case anyone didn't realize that. Looking at you, Sin. For now, though, they've gone back to base. They did pick up another Ocean Dragon for themselves, so they have 2 stacking up nicely, and with some poke coming out for the Chiefs, it does help them out in the long run. Sin now, 6,000 gold behind the Chiefs, 30 minutes into the game. Now the Chiefs have a decisive lead. We have Guardian Angel being picked up by Raze. He's not going to be picked off at the start of these fights anymore. And it's going to be very difficult for them.
Yeah, you have to kill him twice to make his KDA any worse. That's what the takeaway from this one is. Can they do it? Sure. I mean, he's not all that tanky. Is it worth it? Or should you just be prioritizing the 10-0-4 Jace that has been absolutely bonkers, to be honest? Ryoma still having a good game, up 50 CS. Flares hasn't really been as relevant as he would have liked on Renekton. In fact, I would give the matchup decisively to Swiper.
Yep.
And really, everywhere else has kind of just been support for the other members throwing themselves in.
But Sin, you can see now, sitting back a little bit more, no longer throwing themselves at the Chiefs. Instead, they're happy to try and wait this one out as long as possible. Chiefs are pushing their advantages, looking for turrets across the map. Top lane inner is going to be taken down.
Yeah, you expect this to just be the easy turrets taken, then some poke damage. If they feel like they can get in for a turret, sure, let's go for it. But otherwise, let's just fight around choke points. Let's play Chief-style League of Legends now. We got the lead that we were looking for. Now we just go back towards things like Baron and the clean team fights and objectives.
So top lane being pushed in for the Chiefs. They don't have Baron buff anymore, which will make wave clear a lot easier for Sin. But they still have a ton of lockdown, great initiation, and just so much damage. If anyone gets caught out, they're dead with the start of Sin.
Completely agree. At the same time, however, if Chiefs get caught out, I mean, Sin don't lack for damage either. That is for sure, with Juves building Black Cleaver. And Ryoma sitting on, what, 4.5 items nearly. He's certainly going to be a menace in these team fights. Victor just has the potential to one-shot anyone, especially if he picks up a Lich Bane,
Yep, which he
he's
just picked
done.
up.
Yep. So well and truly online. However, doesn't have room for a Death Cap as well as a Void Staff, so potentially a flaw in the build.
As On the Hunt's being popped
Oh,
here, they're trying to
Spooks,
chase
no.
him forward. Spooks is the target, but a big equalizer will come out. They lock down Flares. Guardian Angel has been popped. Juves is going to be the next target. He's getting locked down. Flares jumps on forward. They want Swiffer, but Swiper's already gone into the back lines. He's taking down FBI, and the Chiefs are the one that returned the engage on towards Sin.
Yeah, they certainly do. No Chiefs members fall down. However, it was incredibly close. You can see Spooks and Ejim both on flashing health bars. And these two teams, when they decide to go, they are just throwing bodies, Fish. Time and time again. Minute until Baron's back up, so it means that pretty much everything apart from summoner spells will be back available, and we get to do it all again.
Sin are taking your health bar as a resource, quite literally, in this game, Spawn.
They certainly are.
And meanwhile, the Chiefs decide that they've picked up a lot of gold from their prolonged siege. They go back to base and try to buy a couple of items. You can see now Raze has his Hurricane. Last Whisper being picked up as well, which is quite crucial now that armor items are being picked up by Sin. See, Juves is looking for his first one. Flares already has that Guardian Angel, which was popped. So we can't just dive into the back lines anymore and hope that that's going to keep him alive.
Yeah, it's certainly the case, and you know that makes the job of Flares so hard because he's running across an Equalizer, which is such a crucial slow. He's being kited out by an Ashe. Even Graves has double dashes when you think about his kit, so is going to be difficult for him to be effective as a Renekton. That's always Renekton's shortcoming late game. What do you actually do? And we'll see whether he's able to make it work.
Raze has been holding on to his arrows as well. And right as I say that, they lock down Flares. He is dead. Chiefs obliterate the Crocodile.
And that's just going to be Baron. I mean, sure, two crucial ultimates, but you still have a Jace. You still have the Equalizer if they ever run into the choke point. So maybe not enough respect given there from Flares. Instead, they do start up Baron, and on the way comes Sin.
He's looking for Swiffer. Juves tries to jump in, doesn't take any damage, but doesn't deal any in return. Flares is only up in 30 seconds, and Chiefs turn it around big! Equalizer coming out, Rogue is the next target, the bottom lane is dead. And Sin just watch as Chiefs go straight back towards the Baron. Redemption's going to keep them nice and topped up. This is going to be Baron for them, unless Ryoma and Juves can steal it.
Yeah, and if any duo can, you would expect it to be Ryoma and Juves. We know that they don't really have many cares about their health, so we'll see whether they go for it.
2,000 health, Juves is waiting. Let's see if he jumps in. He's got in. Will he get it? Tries, can't. It's going to be Graves that picks up the Baron, and Juves pays for it with his life.
And you see that Juves just throws his hands on his head, has a little bit of a chuckle. The Chiefs completely stop damage. I mean, that's not fair. He can't do 2,000 damage by himself at this stage of the game.
Oh my goodness. Not looking great for Sin at the moment. What turned out to be a very close game is now slowly swinging in Chiefs' favor. A lot of spark in Spooks now after a depressing early game, I could say.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly wasn't the cleanest early game out of the Chiefs jungler. I think that's more than fair to say. However, has battled back valiantly. My MVP right now has got to be Swiper. These equalizers have just turned so many fights. Ejim's also having a great game. And it's just come down to the fact that, you know, Juves looking for initiations has been a little bit risky. And it's cost his team a couple of times.
Just going back to what Volt said, if Sin wants to win, it's going to be through the solo lanes. How do you do that when you have a 7-1-10 Rumble and a 10-0-9 Jace running around Summoner's Rift?
Kill them.
They're trying, Spawn. I can guarantee you that. It's just not working at the moment.
Yeah, I really don't know where there is to go from here if you are Sin, because you've tried the same strat so many times, which is group up, and it's just not worked. This time they're maybe looking to pick a slightly smarter engage. Actually, they're just running down mid lane, and the Chiefs are like, okay, we have Baron buff and an open inhibitor. Let's go.
It seems like they're going to recall as soon as they see the Chiefs looking towards the bottom lane. And that's Sin getting back to base. Decide they don't want to take this base race.
Yeah, however, without the Rengar ult, how do you actually start a team fight?
Renekton has stayed mid lane. He has no way to get into the bottom lane to get a flank going. Swiffer decides to head back to base to match him. Sin might be able to get a turret out of No,
Nah.
no, they don't.
No, they
Blaze doesn't have enough minions there.
Teleport, potentially. Nah, Ash Arrow. I was wondering what the Observer was trying to show me. It was a high, wide, not very handsome Ash Arrow.
And Chiefs immediately move straight towards the Elder Dragon pits. They've claimed control over this area. They do have great vision at the moment.
And this is so funny because any other team in the OPL is just like, it's an an Elder Drake, you know, we're going to let them start it up, we're going to come in as a unit of 5, or they're not even going to make it in time.
Is going to come in, and it's not in time. Elder Dragon is picked up, and now Sin are running away, but how fast can they run? Because just the 2 ultimates from the top laner and jungler, it's enough to take them down to half health. Teleport now coming into the back lines. Redemption trying to keep Sin topped up, but even that's not going to do enough. It's just burning through them.
Yeah, it certainly is. And a snipe comes out of Swiffer. They're not done.
Yeah, they've already got one. FBI is going to get flashed on here by Swiper. He's trying to heal a kite, but you can't quite the fire as Sin just gets torn apart piece by piece.
And it would not be this game if Spooks didn't die somehow. However, Chiefs moving into the base, 3 dragons, as well as that Elder. And the coordination just wasn't there out of Sin. I mean, any other team would just let you start it up and collapse as 5. Sin were kind of indecisive. They wanted to fight before the Chiefs started the dragon.
Arrow going to come out here from Raze, just looking to end the game nice and quick. Juves is sitting in stealth, jumps in. He's going to get absolutely obliterated. Flash tries to go in to save his jungler. Not going to happen. Guardian Angel gets popped. And the Chiefs, 38 minutes into this game, pick up their first victory against Sin.
And you know, I feel like we have to just stop counting minutes in Sin games and just count kills instead. So that was a 45 kill Sin game, and the Chiefs were able to pick up the victory. That turned into a bloodbath.
Yes.
Like, I just, when you think about teams like Legacy, Direwolves, Chiefs, and you think about aggressive playstyles, you just expect them to play the map. But for whatever reason, maybe a little bit of frustration out of the Chiefs Fish, they just stepped up to the plate and said, we're as good as you mechanically, we are happy to fight.
I mean, they did play the map here, Spawn. They turned it into a graveyard. That's how they played the map coming into this game. Didn't quite work out for Sin.
No, it certainly didn't. I mean, Sin, in the end, they're going to look back at that one and be like, wow, that deteriorated rapidly. Because it looked so good. They had the Karma, the Sivir speed up. They were throwing themselves in. But eventually, I mean, they just started losing fights. And when you keep initiating fights and keep losing them, something's wrong with your strategy.
It definitely did look good for Sin in the first 20 minutes. But to tell us if it was actually good, let's throw it back to the analyst desk.
Thank you, Spawn. Thank you, Fish. Well, we have it there. Chiefs taking that first game, guys. 1-0 over Sin. And Blinky, we thought it was going to be fought through the bot lane. Is that kind of how you saw this game coming up?
Not really. I mean, I thought they should have focused the bot lane, but like obviously Sin decided to ban out Jhin and Varus, so there's not really any more lane bullies left.
Well, let's take a look at the draft as we're looking at Rusty. I mean, when you see that, they've banned out a lot of bot lane champs for Sin.
Yeah, there's a lot of bot lane focus. Sin still have lane control with a Sivir and a Karma, right? But that level 6 point that you were mentioning backstage, Blink, is where things start to generally turn around and kills start to get racked up from the opponents of Chiefs. And whilst it's not necessarily a bot lane focused game, they're still the pivotal members of the team's success. And they hinge on the engage from an Ashe Malzahar on the Chiefs side. They still have the R buttons from a Sivir and a Karma to speed people up and actually get engages off for both of these teams. So they weren't the carries that we wanted, but they were still super crucial towards getting the team's engages.
Well, what about Chiefs, Blink? When you look at their comp there, what do you see as the win conditions, and did they play towards those during the game?
The win condition is definitely carrying through the mid lane, but their bot lane is such like a CC bot lane that it doesn't matter what sins are, they're irrelevant, right? Like bottom lane this game was irrelevant, and it was all on the carry of top jungle and mid, and Chiefs outclassed them.
Yeah. All right. Well, one thing I want to talk about is we said about the bot lane. You were saying maybe Sin didn't play as aggressively through that bot lane, or didn't pick towards it as much as they could have. Early on, we saw that gank down the bottom, and Spooks having a very messy game early on. Do you feel that like he could have played cleaner in that start portion of the game?
The Chiefs bot lane they should wait for Graves to be in position before engaging, because Sivir would have died to a Graves ultimate, right? So there's no point in starting this fight before Graves is there, because they can just counter gank it like they did.
Yeah, there's a couple of positives from Sin in this particular fight. It's them forging back an advantage that Swiper had gotten on the top side of the start of the map, and this is really the beginning of the end for Spooks 1 and 3. Like, didn't have a good start to the game, didn't have a good middle of the game, died to the Baron buff, still died at the end of the game. Like, he was a house on fire, honestly, was running around in the jungle, but the rest of his team had it locked down. And as you said, the top half of the map was the important part. Spooks was just a body being flung around, but everything grouping around him was still picking up all of those kills.
We saw that gang was, again, counter gank, like you said, by Swiffer, who had a massive game. And I want to talk about Swiper as well, because Spawn's called him out and saying he was the MVP of the game. But you look at Swiffer's stats, and he just went massive this entire game, Bliggy.
Swiper's ultimates were definitely on point. He hit 5-man ult twice, I believe,
Yeah.
which completely carried the fight, especially
Yeah.
with the Outer Dragon. It just did so much damage. And
Yeah, I agree. Actually, the Rumble ultimates were really good, but the reason that I would actually give it to Swiffer, and correct me if I'm wrong here, is that Sin were winning the game until someone stood in a bush and got 2 kills after that fight happened.
Yeah.
Like, he was the reason that all of the advantages Sin were getting were actually completely null and void. And Swiper was able to do everything in team fights, but someone had to get them there. I mean,
Well-
Spooks was relentlessly feeding until then.
Speaking of relentlessly feeding, he was so he couldn't even
He
get
could
tired.
not control
Yeah,
himself.
he was
He
just-
had to.
Well, speaking of Swiffer having a field day in these team fights, that Baron, that sort of like almost a minute-long Baron fight between Sin and Chiefs. I mean, that's about Sin and Chiefs and their play styles, right, Rusty?
Yeah, there's a dynamic here where Chiefs are aware they're at a point of power. They want to try and force the objective, and this is all because Ryoma is dead. The Chiefs are running a pick composition, and the person that they have to pick to win the game is actually the victor. It doesn't have a cleanse, can't get out, and this is the Chiefs using ultimates, trying to force engages just for the Baron. Eventually, Juice gets too high for Nancy and sees this moment to do damage, but again, it's a Malzahar, it's an Ashe. They've got so much return fire that they can put back onto you. Really, the Chiefs just have so much control here.
Juves has no vision here, so he has to go in early predicting that the Chiefs are going to finish the Baron. So he went a little bit too early with the Chiefs' great way of denying vision, so like he forced them to fight them. But if he had vision, they could have prolonged the engage and Chiefs would have soaked up more
Yeah.
Baron damage.
Look at that damage to champions from Swiffer on Jace, and just that 11-0-11, that infinite KDA. Good stat there. Largest killing spree, 11 in a in a game where he didn't die. So, Rusty, I mean, you doubling down on this Swiffer MVP for this game? You reckon?
Yeah, I still believe it should go to Swiffer. You give an honourable mention to Swiper, however. He did play exceptionally well. Malzahar also. I think Ejim had a pretty good support showing in the bottom lane. It was the 80 carries of the team that weren't necessarily showing up, but one of them didn't really have a job other than throwing Ashe arrows. The Ashe arrows were connecting, so you can't discredit Raze for still doing his job.
All right, well, there we have it, an early bloodbath in Game 1. Sin going down to the Chiefs. We're back with Game 2 right after this.
Jumps on top of Raze, that's a lot of damage. Flares comes in, spins round and round, gets the first kill. Equalizer's been dropped down to try and return some damage. Spooks has gone in really aggressive, and the Chiefs are getting collapsed on. Swiffer is hiding. Let's see if he can put the towards Road. Gets it. Now he's going for FBI. Does put up the stealth kill, but it's not going to be used here. Swiffer knocks it back. He's trying to use the minions to block Swiffer out, but he's going to be able to pick up a double kill. Nice play for Chiefs mid lane. Let's look up first. Swiffer snipes him in the back line, and now they're trying to go for a 3-on-5. Flares is being burnt down. FBI is going to be the next target as Hammer gets slapped on towards the Sivir, who's just waiting. Let's see if he jumps in. He's gone in. Will he get it? Tries hard. It's going to be Grazer picks up the Baron and Juice pays for it with his life. The Chiefs, 38 minutes into this game, pick up their first victory against Sin.
Feels good to stretch my wings. Bring it. Pick on someone my size. This way.
Chosen of the moon.
Art should terrify. There's nowhere to hide. Blood red.
A new moon is rising.
Welcome back to the OPL. If you're just joining us, Chiefs are up 1-0 over Sin in this best of 3 game 1 of OPL round 7 Saturday. My name is Michael Hingersing and I'm joined here by Blinky and also Rusty. Thank you for both for being here. I want to read you a couple of tweets that have come in over the break and they are very jungle focused. One is from a boy Spooks who's said, if I was on my own team, I would report me for inting in that game. So he's not very happy with his performance. And also Guts has tweeted in,